Painting figures is a more recent venture. I've been throwing around ideas for games that I want to design for a couple years now, and I'm always piling it up, but the figure painting started recently when a friend introduced me to it. Like, he had his own figure that he wanted to paint, and he kind of gave me that extra push to kind of get out there and get started, because I was worried, like, where am I going to get the money for this? Is it going to pick up? Is anyone going to be interested in this sort of thing? Stuff like that. But this is actually the first figure that I painted. This was kind of like a test for his figure. It was a little Ranger. It's pretty much the same colors as that. I think that his turned out a little better than that one did. But it was a solid start, I think. I mean, a lot of people like that, and a lot more people were interested in that sort of thing, and it kind of picked up from there. It all comes down to picking colors, obviously, for your first step, but generally what I prefer going with like a more darker, I want to say realistic color scheme. Like, I don't like picking really bright colors because they just kind of look cheesy, So mostly what I do, I try to get some more darker colors, and technically speaking, the most hard thing is to try and get the little details up underneath in there and all the crevices. That's always fun, trying to fit a little teeny tiny brush up in there. But I guess the technical challenges just lie in painting itself. Like, you have to know what to bait. Well, it's a process more than anything. You got to know where to put. You pick the colors you want for your base coats, main colors, stuff like that. You go back through and add detail, your highlights, your shadow areas. It's just a matter of knowing where to place that sort of thing. Smaller scale, it's a little bit easier to manage for obvious reasons, because it's smaller. It's easier to pick individual details for highlights and shadow areas. Or a larger figure like this, it's more time involved, it's mostly looking at the figure and seeing how the natural lights and just how the natural lights fall on it. I aspire to make my own games, so that's always something I want to try to get to. With every figure that I paint, that's just a little bit more practice to get to sculpting and painting my own original figures. Every little bit of experience helps. Everything contributes. Every little sketch, every idea, everything that you can come up with, it all contributes to the bigger goal in the end. I like gnomes. Gnomes are goofy. You can do them. That's probably his bathrobe, to be honest. It's just, I needed a wizardly looking one. Golems and... Well, visually, I just love getting a beautiful work of art out of it. But especially with fantasy stuff like this, it's easy to just lose yourself in the lore of it, I guess. Like, you can look at the figure, it really sucks you in with its own story. That goes for any fantasy-related thing. I can't really think of one specific thing that got me into it. It's just, I'd be introduced to it through different mediums like video games and TV shows, stuff of that nature. I'd say one of like the earliest introductions to fantasy would probably be like manga and anime, because that's sort of thing that I've grown up with. It still has a big influence, I think, on a lot of the things I do, a lot of things I create, a lot of things I enjoy. The thinner coats that you can get with the paint, the better it'll look in the end. Plus, you don't want to cake too much paint onto the figure itself, because then you start to lose some detail. And detail is what we want. Still trying to find the exact color I want for these wings. I keep going over it. But I think this is getting closer to what I want anyway. I think, just in general, fantasy is a good escape. It gets people's minds off of like current issues or things they're dealing with in their personal life.